June 11th, 1993. Dinosaurs ruled the earth when Steven Spielberg released Jurassic Park in theaters. Some might say it even changed cinema as we know it. The Jurassic Park fever was everywhere during the 90s. Toys, rides, t-shirts, lunchboxes, churches, it was everywhere. After 25 years, the name still stands strong with 3 following sequels. However, the franchise was not exactly supposed to go the route we see today. Before director Colin Trevorrow blessed us with Jurassic World, the heads behind the brand had a vastly different, yet interesting approach to the series. During the 13-year gap between 2001 and 2014, Jurassic Park was going through some minor hiccups. After Jurassic Park 3 had flopped, Universal was nervous about the future of this franchise. They scrambled for ideas left and right, one of which was a musical directed by Rob Marshall, even a few whispers about the next installment being a flat-out remake, but this time, Dr. Alan Grant would be played by Full House legend Dave Coulier. The musical was quickly cancelled after Universal realized that it was, quote, too fucking stupid, and the remake was never brought up again. Their next option was to just leave the property alone and never touch it. However, as a studio, Universal knew that a billion-dollar property could never die unless it stops making money, and Jurassic Park makes a lot of money. They sat down with many well-known directors, such as Brad Bird, Sam Raimi, and Lars von Trier. However, Universal was not pleased with any of their visions at all. And as all else failed, they went and turned to the father himself, Mr. Spielberg. After his 2 releases, War of the Worlds and Munich, Spielberg felt that he was in a bit of a director's block. It's like a writer's block, but with directors. As much as he would love to return, he felt as if he had no ideas for the 4th installment. Thankfully, that quickly changed. Summer of 2006. Spielberg's imagination sparked during one hot summer afternoon at Universal Orlando's Island of Adventure. Just as he came across the Jurassic Park theme park, something caught his eye. You might know it as Camp Jurassic, a playground themed after Jurassic Park. Spielberg was fascinated and got his next big release. That's right, a movie adapted from a playground inside a theme park. Was it crazy? Yeah. Was it going to fail? Perhaps. But Spielberg had hope in this project, and would later find its writer, Tom Rogers, whose portfolio consisted of The Lion King 1.5 and Kronk's New Groove. Although Tom works more inside the animation genre, Spielberg knew that he was right for the project. Tom Rogers busted out a script in only 3 weeks and sent it straight to Universal. They knew they had a gem in their hands. The movie would take place 5 years after the events of Jurassic Park 3. We meet up with our favorite antagonist, Dr. Alan Grant, now at the lowest point of his life. He was once known as a well-renowned paleontologist, and now a broken man, selling crack on the street and living inside a run-down trailer at the edge of Phoenix, Arizona. He even had a roommate, Jep, who would be portrayed by Home Alone star Macaulay Culkin. During one lazy Sunday, a helicopter comes landing right onto their front yard, sadly killing Jeff in the action. As Grant runs outside, he notices who else but John Hammond, offering Dr. Grant a job at his latest project, Camp Jurassic. Grant had taken an oath to never step on the island ever again. However, Hammond would offer him $20 million, so Alan accepted the job. As we return to the island, we come across a few familiar faces, such as Ian Malcolm and Lex Murphy, now all grown up and a counselor at Camp Jurassic. Along the way, Dr. Grant would meet up with new characters, such as Franklin, a kid who's not afraid to get into any danger. As night rolls around, a massive dinosaur roar is heard from the campground, causing all the campers to panic. However, one child was nowhere to be found, Franklin. Now it's up to Grant, Malcolm, and Lex to journey through the island and save the boy's life with many obstacles to overcome. Execs at Universal really liked the general story, but a bit iffy with a few ideas by Spielberg. For instance, the second act would include a romantic subplot between Dr. Grant and Lex Murphy. Not to mention, a whole 5-minute sequence of Ian Malcolm making sweet tender love to a dead Triceratops. Screenwriter Tom Rogers described it as the most experimental Jurassic Park to date. Spielberg himself said the movie was less of an action-adventure blockbuster and more of a big-budget summer comedy, but still kept the classic dinosaur chases the audience came to see. He was inspired mostly by films such as Meatballs and Ernest Goes to Camp. Although they were quite timid about this, they knew they couldn't say no to Steven, or else he would leave the project. So they gave Steve his $300 million and let him work his movie magic. A month later, the screenplay was polished, and the cast was now getting into shape. Sam Neill signed on to return as Alan Grant, as well as Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough, and Ariana Richards as Lex Murphy. They would even pick up an unknown kid actor by the name of
Noah Centineo
to play the role of Franklin. It seemed like the movie was right on track. The storyboards were drawn, the sets were built, and the dinosaurs came back to life with state-of-the-art animatronics. Everything seemed to be checked off. Well, almost everything. The film already found itself in serious trouble even on its first day of production. It just so happened that a certain crew member forgot to rent cameras for the shooting schedule. The man responsible was Leonard Gibson. The entire production came to a halt, and Leonard was immediately kicked off the crew. They tried their best to find any camera they could find, really. Spielberg even considered to just use his JVC camcorder from his house. However, it wasn't the image he imagined. Steve and Universal came to an agreement and scrapped the movie entirely, and once again, the park was closed. In 2010, Spielberg opened up about the whole fiasco during an interview with Movie Clan Podcast. He stated, "The movie deserved better. Jurassic Park, but in a camp. That's brilliant if you ask me. Sadly, the whole project was over because some fuckhead couldn't rent a camera. Let's just say I filed a Jurassic lawsuit against that guy. He never responded since. Might be dead." Although Camp Jurassic will probably never get made, the legacy still lives on. Spielberg has confirmed that he's moved on from the project and would never take another shot again. But who knows? Life finds a way.